Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Water 101 intro webinar series. My name is Kelsey Green. I'm a consultant to the Yakima Basin Joint Board, focusing on communications and outreach. And the goal of this webinar series is to give folks an overview of each of the irrigation districts and the City of Yakima that make up the Yakima Basin Joint Board. So we'll meet the managers, we'll talk a little bit about the different projects that each district and the city is working on, and we'll learn a little bit about how water moves through the Yakima Basin. At the end of the webinar, there will be a contact form if you'd like to learn more about the Yakima Basin Joint Board or the district or the city that we're talking with today. All right, well, today I have Mike Shane joining me from the City of Yakima. Hello, Mike, how are you doing?
Hi there. Good, thanks.
Excellent. Well, so excited to learn about what you do and who you are and what the city is working on. So I guess I'll let you just kind of jump in and introduce yourself and share with us what you do.
Sure. I'm Mike Shane. I'm the Water and Irrigation Division Manager for the City of Yakima. I've been in this role since last year. Dave Brown, who was previously the manager for over 20 years, with the city for over 30, retired, and I moved into his position. I've been with the City of Yakima. I was hired on in 2004 as the water and irrigation engineer. And so I've been with the city now going on 20 years.
Oh, excellent. Well, great. Well, it's nice to meet you on the webinar. All right. So, Mike, as you heard, one of our goals for today is going to be to look at the Yakima Basin and really dive in to see how things work. So, I'm pulling up a map of Washington State right now, and I'm wondering if you can just kind of tell us what we're looking at as we look at this state map and then sort of colorful areas in that central portion there.
Sure. So the Yakima Basin there is shown in the south central area of the state. And the basin is bounded on the west side by the Cascade Mountains, and to the east, the confluence with the Columbia River near Richland. Within the basin, we've got the 5 reservoirs, 3 up to the north end of the Yakima Basin that feed into the Yakima River. 2 of the reservoirs to the southwest there that feed into the Natchez River. And then within the basin, we've got the 7 irrigation districts and the City of Yakima right there in the middle.
Excellent. Yeah. I'll go ahead and zoom in to that map now. And we're kind of looking at those districts in these different colors. And curious if you can tell us a little bit about the Yakima Basin Joint Board and some of those different members that make up the board.
Yeah, so here you see the basin with the 7 irrigation districts shown, identified. The Kittitas Reclamation District, Natchez-Sela, Yakima-Tieton, Sela-Moxie, Rosa Irrigation District, and the Sunnyside Valley Irrigation District, as well as Columbia Irrigation District. With the city as the municipality right there in the middle of the basin.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks. Okay, well, I'll just kind of zoom into a map here that takes away all the other districts and we can see just the city here. And I'd love to hear about how does the city's water operations differ from all these districts and what kinds of things do you work on?
So the City of Yakima is a municipal supplier, whereas the other 7 irrigation districts are agriculturally based. The City of Yakima supplies domestic water to its customers, as well as a separate irrigation supply. That irrigation supply is mostly, there's solely landscape irrigation, yards, lawns, gardens, things like that. We have about 10,700 irrigation customers that we serve. We have 19,400 domestic customers that we also serve, population of about 73,000, which is just a portion of the city of Yakima. Our domestic supply comes from the Natchez River through our water treatment plant, and we also have 4 groundwater wells that supply our domestic system as a backup. Our primary is the water treatment plant on the Natchez River. For our irrigation supply, we have 2 irrigation diversions, one at the Nelson site, which is our general irrigation system, as well as the Fruitvale Canal, which is downstream from the Nelson on the Natchez River. We also, within the city of Yakima, our irrigation customers are also supplied by other irrigation districts, such as Yakima Titan Irrigation District, Yakima Valley Canal Company, and the Natchez Cowiche Canal Company.
Well, thanks. That's a great overview, Mike. And I would love to hear more about some of those projects that you mentioned and what you're working on these days within your systems.
Sure. So as part of our irrigation system upgrade, it really started back in 2004 and even before, but a major project was undertaken to replace our general irrigation system. The system was 100-year-old wood stave piping, and it was to the point of whether or not the system was going to be replaced or just abandoned in place and transition our irrigation customers over to our domestic supply, which would have been a big undertaking to add that amount of demand to the water treatment plant. So it was decided to upgrade and replace our irrigation system. At the time, it was losing about 50% of the water that we were diverting. So over the next 10 years, we replaced about 30 miles of 3-inch through 32-inch wood stave pipe, slip lined it with HDPE. In some cases, a lot of cases, we open trenched and installed PVC piping. So with the completion of that replacement, we reduced our diversion by more than half. So that was a big undertaking to sort of kick off the upgrade of our irrigation system. The most recent one that folks may have heard of is our Nelson Dam and the removal of Nelson Dam. Again, that was the diversion for our general irrigation system. It also is the diversion for the Natchez Cowiche Canal Company. It was a channel spanning concrete dam that impeded fish passage, was a safety issue for boaters, swimmers, and the last iteration of that dam was constructed in 1985. It had been built since the early 1900s. In fact, the earliest diversion in this area was in 1865. Was the earliest record of a diversion at the Nelson site. So that's been around for a while, but the latest iteration of that dam was failing, and it was time to be replaced. So working with partners through the integrated plan, various agencies, the Yakima Nation, we developed a plan to replace that dam with what ended up being a roughened channel. By removing the dam and installing the roughened channel, we were able to still maintain our irrigation diversion and the water surface elevation required to get water into our irrigation system. But it took the fish passage impediment out of the way, allowed for fish passage up the Natchez River, opened up over 200 miles of river. We also replaced the diversion, installed new fish screens, structures, and the design of the diversion is going to allow us to move the Fruitvale Canal as well as the Old Union Canal water up to Nelson with a future project and abandon those old diversions. The second phase of Nelson is installation of pipeline from Nelson along Highway 12 and down to 40th Avenue, again allowing for water to be supplied from Nelson to the Fruitvale and Old Union systems.
Excellent. Well, what a project. And congrats on all the progress that you've made there. That's really pretty amazing. Well, Mike, you mentioned the Yakima Basin Integrated Plan and how Nelson Dam is tied in with that. And I'd love to hear more about the integrated plan and how the city of Yakima supports the plan.
Yeah, so City of Yakima has been a partner as part of the integrated plan since 2009, since it started. And you know, again, it's a partnership between federal, state, local agencies, the Yakima Nation, and it's a way for people to collaborate, communicate, and it's an approach to managing the water resources and the natural resources throughout the Yakima Basin. It's a way to support each other's projects through funding and through partnership.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. Okay, well, I feel like that gives us a great overview of the work that you've done and some of the projects that you've been a part of. And I'd love to just get to know you a little bit more now. Curious about, in this role that you have, I guess, fairly recently taken over for Dave Brown. Curious about your favorite parts of your role.
You know, the favorite parts of my role, both working with the city for the last 20 years and now as the manager, is just the people I work with. I've developed some great relationships in the 20 years that I've been here at the city. In my previous role as engineer, people throughout the community, and now as my role as the manager, it's put me in different positions to meet new people in agencies, and again throughout the community that I may not have otherwise had that opportunity. So I think that's really what I appreciate most about the position, is just the people that I get to interact with and develop relationships with.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thanks. All right. Well, as we wrap up, kind of looking ahead to the rest of 2024, we're filming this in March, and curious if you'd like to speak to what you're looking forward to, if you have some interesting projects on the horizon, and just kind of what the rest of the year looks like for you.
So as mentioned, coming up, one of our big projects towards the end of this year is the Nelson Pipeline project. We had $7.6 million made available from the state legislature through YBIB and the Department of Ecology as a big springboard to get that project started and underway, in addition to our own capital irrigation funding. So I'm really excited to get that project started. Again, that's sort of a linchpin to some other bigger projects in the area taking place by Yakima County as well. So a lot of folks anxious to get that project underway. Another project that we're working on is our ASR, Aquifer Storage and Recovery. We've been storing, the ASR is domestic water that we've treated that we're able to put into the groundwater through two of our existing wells. We're currently running ASR, and we'll be able to do that until our domestic water system demands increase such that we're not able to keep up with that additional supply. So that's an exciting project, and we look forward to in the future 2 additional ASR wells. Other than that, just lots of other construction projects taking place, water line replacements throughout town. Some associated with street reconstruction projects, other ones just maintenance and replacement that the water system needs. Our irrigation guys are always making upgrades in the off season, and they're anxious for Monday, April 1st to start operating their irrigation system. And so lots going on and will be for the rest of the year.
Excellent. Well, that's great, Mike. I feel like we've got a lot of good info, and right now I'll go ahead and pull up a contact screen. If people are interested to learn more about the Yakima Basin Joint Board, you can access our link tree via the QR code here or the URL. If you'd like to reach Mike Shane, here is his contact information, and go ahead and give him a shout. And all right, well, thanks so much, Mike. This has been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more, and it's been really nice to work with you since you've taken over your position. And
Thank you.
yeah, any last thoughts or words before we say goodbye?
No, that's it. Great. Thanks. Appreciate that, Kelsey.
Excellent. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for more webinars. You can find them on the Yakima Basin Joint Board YouTube channel. All right, have a great week.